The story begins with the Squid Game, named after the fact that it is played inside a drawing on the ground, resembling the shape of a squid. The teams are divided into two groups, offense and defense. The defender can run using his feet normally, while the attacker tries to enter the drawing. If he succeeds, he is then called the secret inspector and is granted the right to run on his feet as well. In the final stage, the attackers gather at the entrance of the squid and try to avoid the defenders until they reach the squid's head and stand on it. But if the defender manages to drive the attacker out of the boundaries of the drawing, the attacker is considered dead and has no right to try again. And when the attacker succeeds in reaching the head and placing his feet firmly on it, he declares his victory over the defenders. And thus the game ends. Then we move to Seong, an unemployed failure who lives with his mother in her apartment, relying on her for his daily expenses. He is unable to pay the interest on a massive loan he squandered in vain. He deceives his mother into leaving him her credit card, trying to withdraw money from it, but he fails at first. After several attempts using different birth dates, he finally succeeds when he uses his daughter's birthday. He withdraws the money and goes to bet it on horse racing, and for the first time in his life, he wins a good sum. He gives the receptionist a tip, but his ill fortune chases him. The money is stolen by a pickpocket who bumps into him while he is fleeing from the debt collectors. Moments later, he falls into their grip. They beat him severely and force him to sign an agreement that requires him to give up his organs if he does not pay his debts by the end of the month. By agreeing to this, they earn the right to take his kidney and one of his eyes, sealed with his fingerprint that cannot be undone. Seong returns to the receptionist to reclaim the tip he had given her earlier, then heads to a gift-catching game, as he does not have enough money to buy a birthday present for his daughter. He tries again and again, but his miserable luck betrays him each time, until a small child helps him in the end, and he finally wins a wrapped prize. He goes to his daughter to present her with this prize, only to find it is a lighter shaped like a gun. Despite the oddity of the gift, the little girl is happy because her father remembered her and brought her something. But Seong quickly snatches it away from her, fearing she might hurt herself with it, and promises her that next year he will bring her a big gift worthy of her. It becomes clear that his daughter wanted to tell him something important, but she hesitates and stays silent. He takes her to her mother and stepfather's house, then leaves on his way back. On his way home, he misses the train, forcing him to wait for the next one. There, a mysterious man sits beside him and offers him a game called Dakji. It is a simple game, 2 folded paper squares, one thrown on the ground while the player keeps the other. The goal is to strike the paper on the ground with your own piece until it flips to the other side. Success means winning, failure means losing. The man explains the rules to Seong and promises that if he wins, he will give him 100,000 won. Seong tries his luck the first time, and as usual, he fails. The man takes his turn and easily flips the piece. Since Seong has no money to pay, the man offers that he pay with his body, slapping him hard across the face. Seong enters a new round and fails again, receiving another slap. The process continues, round after round, slap after slap, until his face turns red and swollen. Then, in a rare moment, Seong finally wins a single round, and he is overwhelmed with a flood of triumph, receiving 100,000 won from the man. But the man did not come for amusement alone. He reveals to Seong that he knows everything about him, that he is practically unemployed, working as a driver for wages that are never enough, and that he is drowning in debts of 160 million won to moneylenders and 225 million to the bank after a loan he wasted. He also knows that he has a 10-year-old daughter who lives with his ex-wife and her husband. Then he hands him a small card and says in a confident tone, "If you wish to win millions, call me." The man rises, leaving Seong stunned in his place, his words echoing in his mind like an alarm bell and a seductive promise. Seong feels happy after getting some money, so he buys dinner for himself and his mother, and they sit together to eat. During their conversation, his mother tells him that his ex-wife, her husband, and their daughter will be leaving for America next year. Seong immediately recalls that moment when his daughter wanted to tell him something but held back, realizing that this was the news she had meant to share. His mother tries to instill hope in him, encouraging him to fight for custody of his daughter, insisting that he must prove in court that he is capable of supporting and caring for her. But as night falls heavy, Seong is unable to sleep, drowning in a whirlpool of thoughts. At last, he makes his decision, picking up the phone to call the mysterious man's number, declaring his readiness to participate. He goes to the designated place, waiting for a long time until a black car pulls up before him. The driver rolls down the window and asks for the password given to him over the phone, and Seong repeats it. He enters the car, and suddenly the space fills with sleeping gas, causing him to collapse unconscious like the other passengers, while the driver remains awake thanks to the gas mask he wears. When Seong wakes up, he finds himself in a vast hall filled with hundreds of people, all wearing the same uniform and carrying numbers on their chests. He discovers that his number is 456, while cameras hang in every corner, watching their every move under unseen eyes. He rises, confused, and sees a massive screen displaying the number of participants. There, he notices an old, frail man carrying the number 1. Seong asks him in surprise, "What makes you come to a place like this?" The old man replies with a faint smile, "I have a tumor in my brain, and I don't have much time left in this life. I have nothing to lose by joining." At that moment, a commotion catches his attention. A criminal is beating a young woman. Seong approaches and realizes it is the very same girl who had pickpocketed his money before. He intervenes angrily, not to protect her, but because he wants his money back. But the quarrel is abruptly cut short when the gate opens, and a group of masked people enter, dressed in red suits with a circle symbol on their masks. The atmosphere begins to change, as though they are about to step into a terrifying play with no way back. A man wearing a mask marked with a square steps forward and begins speaking. Before the crowd, all of you will participate in 6 different games over 6 days. Whoever manages to clear all the games will receive a massive cash prize. Your phones and wallets will be returned to you once the competition ends. As for our identities as staff, they will remain hidden to preserve secrecy. One of the players rises in protest, declaring that he does not trust these promises. The masked man responds sharply, "All of you are drowning in huge debts. You are already filmed playing the Dakshi game. At that time, you believed the one who handed you money, and you yourselves called the number to come here. Now you have 2 choices. Either go back to your miserable lives, or continue with us on this path." Then he adds, "All the games are unknown to you, and their details will not be revealed until the moment they begin." Seong asks about the prize's value, and the man points to a massive piggy bank hanging above their heads, confirming that it will be filled with money after the first round ends, and the amount will be revealed to them then. Afterward, they are shown the participation contract. It states 3 basic rules. 1. A player may not stop playing once the game has begun. 2. Anyone who refuses to play will be eliminated immediately. 3. The game ends only if the majority votes for it. Everyone signs the contract, then they are escorted to the hall of the first game. Every step of theirs is filmed, while the unknown leader observes from the control room, entertained by the spectacle. There, Seong meets his childhood friend Sang-woo. He tries to talk with him, but Sang-woo only says, "Later, I'll tell you what happened to me." They enter the hall and are struck by the sight. A giant doll stands at the far end, with a red line drawn on the ground before her. Her head swivels side to side, her eyes gleaming as though she is about to cry. The players are told to reach the finish line, but they must stop completely whenever the doll turns toward them. When she turns back again, they may run. The game seems simple on the surface, run by two phrases: green light, red light. The round begins. Everyone runs with excitement, but the moment the doll turns, one player continues moving slightly. Suddenly, a thunderous gunshot rings out, and the player collapses lifeless to the ground. The rest are stunned, and one of them approaches the body to check blood gushes from his mouth. Panic erupts, and another player begins running wildly. The doll tracks him and shoots him dead as well. Chaos explodes. Dozens try to flee, but the sensors in the doll's eyes detect their every move, showering them with relentless bullets. The hall drowns in blood and screams, while the masked leader watches the scene with cold detachment, as if delighting in the sight of players dying one after another. Amid the massacre, the first to regain his courage moves. The old man with number 1. He begins running and stopping with astonishing innocence, as though he is simply playing. Inspired by his bravery, some players follow his lead, while Seong struggles to rise after a corpse had fallen over him, forced to fight against time, for they have only a limited period to cross the finish line. Before they are all wiped out, the players begin running toward the finish line, with time about to run out. As Seong dashes forward, he stumbles on the hand of one of the corpses lying on the ground and nearly falls, which would have exposed him. But a Pakistani player named Ali grabs him at the critical moment and prevents him from falling, and together they survive and cross the line before the time expires. When the timer ends, all who failed to reach the red line are executed. Afterward, it is revealed to the players that they are on a remote island in the middle of the sea. The bodies of the fallen are collected and burned in a massive incinerator. Even those who still have faint breaths left are mercilessly killed. The survivors are horrified by the shocking spectacle they have witnessed, until the masked staff enters to announce the truth. You were 456 players, and now only 201 remain. That means 255 players have died. The players rise in protest, demanding that this massacre be stopped and that they be allowed to withdraw. The uproar grows until the masked man reminds him of the second rule: anyone who refuses to play will be eliminated. At this moment, Sang-woo, Seong's childhood friend, reminds them of the third clause. The game ends if the majority votes to stop it. The masked leader agrees, but suggests they first see the size of the promised prize. Suddenly, the giant piggy bank hanging above them begins filling with money. The players' eyes widen with greed. The man explains that this money comes from every dead player. 100 million won is added for each victim. Since 255 players have fallen, the piggy bank now contains 25.5 billion won. He adds, if you choose to withdraw now, this money will be given to the families of the dead. But the final prize is 45.6 billion won. Then he announces that the vote will be conducted using the buttons in front of each player: green to continue, red to withdraw. The voting begins from number 1 to 456. Seong is the first to vote. He presses the red button, declaring his withdrawal. The players follow one by one, some hesitant, others greedy or afraid. The votes are counted, and the last turn comes to player number 1, the old man. Everyone waits in suspense. Then he stretches out his hand and presses the red button. Thus, the end of the game is declared. The masked man once again addresses them. You will now return to your homes. But remember, the door will remain open. You can return at any time. Indeed, everyone is sedated again and dumped in scattered locations, some of them tied up in the streets, left to their fate as if nothing had ever happened. As for Seong, he returns to the city broken, and the first thing he does is head to the police station to report what happened. But no one believes him, treating him as if he is raving. The officer on duty hands him the game's card and phone number, and calls it himself. A woman answers angrily, "How dare you call this early?" and immediately hangs up. Seong is thrown out of the station in disappointment. But another officer, named Hwang Jun-ho, had been watching. His eyes catch sight of the mysterious card, and his curiosity is sparked. Seong returns home, only to find his mother gone. He searches desperately until he receives a call from the hospital. His mother has been admitted in critical condition. It turns out she suffers from severe diabetes, and her limbs are at risk of amputation if not treated immediately. But she refuses to stay in the hospital, saying, "We have no money for treatment or even living. I must fight on my own feet, or else our lives will collapse even further." Seong tries to reassure her, promising that he will find the money. At the same time, Officer Hwang appears in a parallel storyline. He has a brother who has been missing for days, and the landlady of the apartment he rented complains of his disappearance after he failed to pay the rent. Hwang goes to his brother's apartment, where he discovers the same mysterious card he had seen with Seong. His suspicions deepen, and he returns to the station to retrieve Seong's file and address. And thus, it becomes clear that every player in this deadly game drags behind them a ruined life, all because of money. Even Ali lives a true tragedy. He has not been paid his wages for a full 6 months. He gets into a fight with his former boss, who refuses to give him his dues, and the conflict escalates until the boss's hand is pulled inside one of the industrial machines. Ali seizes the opportunity, takes the bag containing the money, and rushes to deliver it to his needy family. Elsewhere, Sang-woo is speaking with his mother on the phone, assuring her that he is on a successful business trip in the United States and will not return soon because of work pressure. His mother believes him, even boasting to the neighbors that her son has become a successful man in a prestigious job. But the truth quickly unravels when police investigators knock on her shop's door and inform her that her son is wanted for embezzlement, forgery, and financial crimes. The mother suddenly realizes that he has been deceiving her all along. As for Sang-woo, he decides to end his life. He is on the verge of suicide when he finds a Squid Game card placed under his apartment door, bearing the date and location of the meeting if he wishes to return. Meanwhile, Seong is desperately trying to borrow money for his mother's treatment, but he fails. By chance, he meets the old man at a store in his neighborhood, who tells him that he has decided to return to the game again because his reality now is harsher than any game. He admits that leaving was a terrible mistake. Seong also receives a new card, and he tries to visit his ex-wife to ask her for money. But she firmly refuses and asks him to leave before her husband comes home. The husband suddenly appears with the children, and she covers by saying Seong was only checking on his daughter. Seong leaves the house, but the husband follows him and gives him some money on the condition that he never approaches his daughter again. Enraged, Seong hits him, and his daughter witnesses the scene, watching her father attack her stepfather. When he returns home, Seong finds Officer Hwang Jun-ho waiting for him. The officer asks about the card he carries and reveals that his missing brother had a similar card before disappearing. But Seong refuses to cooperate, insisting he has no time to help anyone, then enters his apartment to find the game card lying on his doorstep. Thus, all the former players who had withdrawn begin to return once more. They gather at the designated place, but this time Officer Hwang is watching closely. In one of the cars, Kong Si-byok, the pickpocket, manages to resist the sleeping gas by avoiding inhaling it so she remains conscious. Meanwhile, the officer follows the vehicles until they reach the port, where the cars are loaded onto a massive ship. He sneaks in disguised among the unconscious bodies, then attacks a staff member, kills him, and wears his uniform to blend in with the other guards. At the same time, Kang manages to hide her knife without it being confiscated. When the players wake up, they find themselves once again in the vast hall, wearing the same uniform and their old numbers. This time, the number is smaller. 187 players have returned to Hell, and the new prize is 26.9 billion won. Seong gathers with Ali and Sang-woo, suggesting that they form a team to help one another through the games. The old man joins them willingly. On the other side, the violent thug begins forming his own team as well. After lunch, everyone is asked to rest, but player number 212 screams, demanding to go to the bathroom. The guards agree, and Kong accompanies her. There, Kong uses her knife to open a ventilation shaft and sneaks inside, managing to crawl toward the kitchen, where she glimpses the cooks melting sugar to prepare something mysterious. She hurries back to the bathroom before being discovered and tells her companion what she saw. But what she did not know was that Sang-woo had overheard everything, and it seemed as though he was quietly plotting something. After the second game ends, the surviving players return once more to the sleeping hall, all eyes fixed on the giant piggy bank that begins, filling with the money of those who lost their lives. 79 players fell in the last challenge, pushing the prize pool to 34.8 billion won. Money piles up, blood spills, and the weight of the wager grows heavier on their souls. Lunchtime comes, and a hidden relationship is revealed between the thug and player number 212, the one who had helped him in the previous round with the lighter. But this time, the meal is so small, it sparks suspicion. So the thug and his men decide to take more than their share, stealing food from others. One of the victims is player number 271, who bravely confronts the thug, but the confrontation ends in disaster. The thug beats him to death in front of everyone. Seong collapses at the horror of the scene, trying to convince the others to stop killing each other, reminding them that the real battle lies in the arena, not among themselves. But the numbers don't lie. Every time the player count on the screen decreases, the prize money grows by another 100 million won. Meanwhile, Officer Wang, still disguised among the guards, succeeds in stealing the mask of a higher-ranking officer, giving him access to delve deeper into the secrets of the place. There, he uncovers a dark scandal, a secret operation in which the organs of dead players are harvested and sold, carried out by Dr. 111 in cooperation with 2 guards. The players, especially Seong's team, are paralyzed with fear at the thought of sleeping, terrified of being slaughtered in their beds. They decide to stay awake all night. Dr. 111 has already been told by his partners that the leader deliberately gave them meager portions of food to incite them to fight each other, thinning out the weak before the next round begins. And indeed, once the lights go out in the hall, the thug launches his first attack, killing a woman who had protested his theft of food, smashing her head with a bottle. Chaos erupts, the place turning into a dark slaughterhouse where the strong butcher, the weak without mercy. But amid the hell, the old man's trembling, pleading voice rises, "Stop! If you don't stop this massacre, everyone will die." His words reach the ears of the leader, who orders the guards to intervene, stop the fighting, and count the dead. During this time, Officer Wang, in his new disguise, sneaks close to Seong in secret, asking him if he knows someone named In-ho, as he suspects this might be his missing brother. But Seong tells him that players don't know each other's names, only numbers. Once the chaos subsides, Seong suggests to his team that they share their real names, perhaps to help them hold on to some humanity amid this hell. Each reveals their full name, And when it comes to the old man's turn, he freezes, unable to speak. The others decide not to pressure him, simply saying, "It's not important now." And thus the bitter truth is revealed. The number has dropped from 107 players to only 80. After the hall had been cleared of the traces of the previous massacre, it was time to sleep. Xiang's team sat on edge, and the old man volunteered to take guard duty in their place. He said in a quiet, tired voice, "I have nothing to offer you in this game except to forgo my sleep and watch over you." His words were simple, but they planted a sense of reassurance in their hearts. At the break of a new dawn, the players awoke to the sound of stern orders. Proceed to the game hall to begin the third game. It was announced that this round would be collective, with teams divided into groups of 10 players. Xiang's team began to strengthen its ranks, looking for brawny men who could double their chances of winning. Meanwhile, the thug revealed his true face when he abandoned his companion. Player 212, mercilessly, sneering at her, "I'll include you in the next game, if you're still alive." Then he shoved her away and beat her brutally. The woman grew furious and vowed to kill him someday, but she had no choice but to join Xiang's team, which lacked one person to be complete. Soon the players were divided into 8 groups, each made up of 10 people. Then the nature of the game was revealed, tug of war, but not on the ground. The rope was suspended between towering pillars, and the losing teams would fall from a horrifying height to certain death. The thugs' team was chosen first, and they faced a weak group. With brutal physical strength, they crushed their opponents easily, and the other team fell from that dizzying height to a bloody, tragic end. Then it was Xiang's team's turn to face a group full of strong men. Despair etched across everyone's faces, until the old man stood and spoke with confidence. Tug of war doesn't rely on strength alone, but on mind and strategy. Listen well, and I will make you win. He began to explain. The leader must appear strong before the opponents, without hesitation. Then he taught them how to stand on the rope in a way that uses all their strength, and he instructed them to hold firm at the start, and not to pull the rope during the first 10 seconds no matter what. Indeed, the team followed his instructions and managed to confuse their opponents, gradually gaining control of the match. But soon the tide turned, and the opposing team began to pull them powerfully toward their doom. Here Sang-woo intervened with a bold plan. "At my signal, we will all step forward 3 paces, as if we are throwing ourselves to death." The team hesitated, but they had no other option. And when Sang-woo shouted the signal, they all advanced 3 steps forward. Everyone held their breath, poised between falling and surviving. If you want me to continue, tell me in comments. Don't forget subscribe and like.